Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Carl, a member of the CK-12 team, and we're coming to you live from the world headquarters of the CK-12 Foundation here in beautiful Palo Alto, California. My colleague Lindsay and I will be running today's webinar, Getting Started with FlexBooks. We're so glad you've joined us and are participating in our CK-12 Certified Educator Program.
Yes, thank you to everyone who's joined us today, and welcome to day one of the live sessions for the CK-12 Certified Educator Program. We have built this program for educators who want to go deeper with CK-12 and really become experts at using our platform to help make teaching easier and to truly personalize the learning experience for students. In order to become CK-12 certified, here's just a quick reminder of what all you need to do. You need to watch 2 mandatory on-demand sessions. We launched the first on-demand session, CK-12 Certified Educator Program and Overview, on Sunday, July 1st. If you have not watched the session yet, don't worry, you're okay, there's still time to do that, but please do make it a priority since it does set you up for success and should help answer any questions you have about the Certified Educator Program and navigating CK-12. The second on-demand session is called Beyond the CK-12 Certified Educator Program and will be available at the conclusion of the live sessions. It'll be the last thing that you guys do. You have until July 31st to watch it. So next, you need to join us for 5 or more live sessions where you can choose between times offered and content covered. So you're here for the first one this morning. That's exciting. If you need to register for more sessions, you can do so at any time. You will also need to complete the accompanying assignments that go with all sessions. And then lastly, you'll complete a final form to request your certification, and then you'll be CK-12 certified. Google is a partner of the CK-12 Foundation, and we are using a Google Class to organize all of the materials and assignments for this program. You should have received several emails from us about accessing our Google Class. If you did not receive these emails, we've had some users report to us that our emails have hit their spam folder. So please check there. We don't want to be in spam, and make sure that you're getting all of our emails. Your email has a join code that you need to access the class. So if you have not joined yet, we hope you'll be able to join soon. But don't panic. There's plenty of time to get you into Google Class, and our team will help you with this. Like I said, this Google Class is where you'll find our first on-demand session that includes 5 short videos to get you started with CK-12 and our program. You will need to watch those videos and complete the matching assignment as soon as possible. At the end of today's webinar, after all the content's been covered, we will stay on and answer any questions you might have regarding Google Classroom. But right now, we want to get you going with today's content on FlexBooks. Throughout this session, we would love for you to get involved in the conversation. You guys have already figured that out. There's lots of activity happening in chat right now. We do have 2 windows available. One is for Q&A and one is for chat. We would like for you to type any questions that you want answered during this webinar by the CK-12 team. We would like those in the Q&A window so that we make sure we don't miss any. The chat window is the place for community conversation. We'd love for you guys to continue to introduce yourselves, where you're located, even the greater subject that you teach. In the chat window, though, do make sure that you're sending all of your messages to all panelists and attendees. You have to change that to say all panelists and attendees so that everybody can see what you typed.
Thanks, Lindsay. I'm really impressed. We have people here from all around the world, including what I'll call the people who've gotten up in the middle of the night to attend. And we have people from Hong Kong, Malaysia, and even early morning in Hawaii. So a special thanks to those people for interrupting a little sleep to learn more about CK-12's great resources. So I'd like to find a little bit more out about you and your interest in FlexBooks. You'll see a poll here in a few seconds that will prompt you to respond to a short question. The first question here is, have you used and/or customized a CK-12 FlexBook? So we're trying to find a little background and see what kind of experience you have. Your options are, I have yet to use CK-12 FlexBooks. I use them without customizing. I've customized a FlexBook, or I have built a whole FlexBook from scratch. So we'll give you a few moments to answer, and then we'll go ahead and share the results. Alrighty. I think we're going to go ahead and close the poll, so vote quickly. And the results are, as you can see, 72% of you have yet to use a FlexBook, which is a great starting point for today's webinar. 20% of you have used FlexBooks without customizing them, and about 11% of you have done some level of customization. So I hope there's something here for all of the people today, and hopefully you'll leave here knowing much more about CK-12's flagship product called FlexBook. All right, let's get started with today's session. Today's session is called Getting Started with FlexBook. For those of you brand new to FlexBooks, or perhaps those of you who have used our FlexBooks but have never really customized for your specific curriculum, this is a great place to get started. Specifically, during this webinar, we'll be covering the following topics. Why choose a FlexBook? Why customizable and shareable content is so important to educators. Finding a FlexBook in CK-12 content. Navigating CK-12 to find concepts, original FlexBooks, concept collection FlexBooks, and user-generated content. Next, customizing a FlexBook, the basics of editing, delete, reordering, add, upload content, as well as best practices for working collaboratively with our books. Publishing and sharing your FlexBook, how to get your books in the hands of colleagues and students through the unique URL Schools page, SharePlane, or offline reader. By the end of the session, you'll be able to find a FlexBook to customize, start a new FlexBook from scratch, customize a FlexBook, add chapters and sections, change and add chapter descriptions, reorder chapters, delete chapters, make some basic edits, highlight and take notes, publish and share a FlexBook, understand the best practices when collaborating with colleagues, successfully using FlexBooks with students. Last summer, several of the participants asked if we could prepare a handout that would accompany each session. You spoke and we listened. We're pleased to share with you a session resource page. This will help you not only today, but also later. We realize that you will be getting a lot of information during the next few weeks. So these resource pages will show you the key information and help remind you how to use the CK-12 resources covered in this program. Feel free to share any feedback to help us improve them. You are welcome to print these resources before a session begins if it helps you follow along. Or, of course, you can use it after as a handy resource as you're working on the assignment or working on FlexBooks during the school year. For those of you who choose to attend the advanced FlexBook editing session next week, there are a few types of things we're going to cover in that session. Uploading, editing, and adding attributions for images. Figure versus inline images. Our Creative Commons licensing. Embedding videos and multimedia content. Using CK-12's math editor. LaTeX coding. Linking to CK-12's interactives. Headers and subheaders. Tables. Element boxes. Page breaks. And PDF versus on-screen view. If you're wanting additional help with any of these skills right now, please be aware this is a Getting Started with FlexBook, focusing on the basics, and we'll prioritize questions related to the basics during the webinar. But don't worry, we'll stay on, as always, to address any complex editing questions that you need a live demonstration at the end of our presentation. We also encourage you to join us for the advanced editing session. We think it's a great next step to today's session.
So, why choose a FlexBook? What makes us different from other content providers or platforms? These are some questions you guys might be asking. You have a choice when choosing how to deliver content for your students. You could use a traditional textbook, one that costs a fortune, weighs 10 pounds, is outdated from the minute it's on your shelves, and one that never follows the sequence for how you teach your subject. But many of you are here today because you've already decided that that model is outdated. and just too costly as more and more schools are becoming budget conscious. So then you're faced with another choice: how to replace those textbooks and still have a quality curriculum to give your students. Some teachers are using Google Docs as a solution, but as so many of you know, this isn't the best replacement for a book. It's a lot of things in a lot of different places, and students and parents sometimes feel like they're missing out without a single source of content. So this is where CK-12 FlexBooks can really change everything for you. Several years ago, Coeur d'Alene schools in Idaho decided to go with CK-12 instead of traditional publishers' books for 5 courses. They have incredible educators who've worked in teams to customize the CK-12 content and then add in their own content they've created and curated from other sources in a sequence that works for their school. So they've done the right thing. They've already customized for their needs and for their students. They've really found it useful to do an annual update to these books. CK-12 FlexBooks are the best way to get quality, customizable content in the hands of students.
One major advantage to CK-12's customizable content and interactive books is they can be accessed anywhere, anytime, and on any device. You have the power to read the entire collection of CK-12 FlexBooks on any personal device, and you can download the textbooks to read offline with our app. Our friends in Lincoln, Nebraska are going to compile their content in a FlexBook, and all the students are going to have access to it on their devices through a URL. But one of the missions of CK-12 is to get our books in the hands of any student who wants to learn, even in areas where internet isn't as readily available. So that's why we developed our Chrome offline reader, making content available without consistent connectivity, even beyond personal devices. That means that even Chromebooks, laptops, and desktop computers can now access great CK-12 content when not connected to the internet. So be sure to go to the app or Google Play stores and download the app for any mobile device, or click on the offline reader link on any FlexBook page. And remember, all of our resources are free at CK-12. You will not be asked for a credit card or hit a paywall. We are a nonprofit trying to make education as accessible as possible, and we are proud to be a cost-free solution for you.
While we don't charge for any of our content, you can still rest assured that our FlexBooks are of the highest quality. To write our FlexBooks, we follow a model similar to the traditional publishers. Our content has been developed by hundreds of people with PhDs, people who are professors, teachers, authors, even NASA scientists, and other subject matter and domain experts over the past 11 years. You can view this list of our authors at any time by going to our Meet the Teams page. So while we are like traditional publishers in the creation of our content, the benefits of using a FlexBook is the ability to customize with our Plix and sim modalities, with videos, with resources you curate from other sources, all of this bringing life to your content. Another thing you can't do with a traditional textbook is translate it into another language. Well, you can with CK-12's FlexBooks. We have some Spanish edition of FlexBooks built on our site, but with this Google Translate option at the bottom of your screen, you have the ability to change any of our content into almost any language. You know, one of the few concerns I ever hear about digital textbooks is that students lose out on writing in the margins or highlighting in a book. Our FlexBooks allow students to use highlighters right on the screen and take any notes that will always be available to their student accounts.
I think now's a good time to show you a couple minutes of video footage highlighting some of our FlexBook users in Utah, Texas, Tennessee, and Idaho. You'll also get a glimpse of our executive director and co-founder, Neeru Khosla, who started CK-12 back in 2007 to radically change the old textbook model.
I love learning, and I actually really love books. But the problem with textbooks is that they are actually very limiting format, and not every child can learn from that. Textbooks are created to be average, so you cover almost every kind of student. The problem is that that doesn't work for every student. That's why we created FlexBooks. These are textbooks that are current, customizable, and of course, free.
We would be flat as teachers if we weren't always asking ourselves, what's in the student's best interest? What's going to be down the tunnel for them? Down the tunnel for them is less and less printed textbooks and more digital resources. And I'm not preparing them for their futures if I'm not learning how to use those resources as well.
CK-12 was an obvious choice for us. We were able to experience some cost savings with it. The content is rich, it's engaging to students, and it's flexible, so it allows us to really tailor the tools to meet the needs of the instruction.
We can embed multimedia components to make it more engaging for our students, to make it more relevant for our students, so that they're no longer using a static textbook, but one that's dynamic and rigorous and high quality and easily updated. Teachers can go and find a textbook that meets their needs, and they can constantly revise and edit as they go along.
CK-12 actually meets and exceeds the standards that are required by our curriculum, our state and district curriculum.
I didn't realize that something this simple as online textbooks could change the way that I teach that much, but it's been pretty much a door that has opened that I can't close anymore.
If I were speaking to someone that was considering the CK-12, I would say don't hesitate because of just the savings and just the practicality of it, but the current information and the ease of use with our students who are engaged with technology, there's just nothing else out there like it.
Okay, that seems like a great place to stop and field some questions. So I'm going to turn it over to Carl and see what he's seeing in our Q&A window right now.
Sure. Once again, if you haven't figured this out, in order to ask a question that you want answered live, you're going to click on the Q&A window, not the chat window. So the first question is, what are the credits policy when adding content, videos, etc. to a FlexBook? Everything we offer on CK-12 is covered by a copyright known as Creative Commons, and the requirements are you give attribution and you do not charge for it. It's non-commercial use only. So when adding content, give the appropriate credit to the content you're adding in, whether it's a video you're getting from YouTube or wherever it's coming from. And do make sure that it matches the CK-12 copyright. So you cannot put copywritten material from like a publisher into the CK-12 book.
Okay, Carl, we have a series of questions here that are kind of getting at the same thing of how does CK-12 help teachers who need to differentiate or accommodate students with different needs? A couple of these questions are asking about, reading levels, lexile levels. So I'll let you talk about differentiation.
CK-12 is really great for a classroom of students with a variety of needs and levels of learning because we have broken up all of the content on CK-12 into 5,000 different concepts. And there's a concept page for each concept that the kids will be learning. And then on each concept page, you have a variety of modalities. And this means you're going to find lessons, you're going to find videos, interactives, a lot of different ways of learning. So depending on who the kid is and kind of where they are in that moment, they might actually prefer to watch a video or two before reading about something, or they might prefer to do an interactive first. So you can break up the learning into different groups, and you can assign different groups in your classroom different activities to do, all learning the same content. The other thing is we've also created lessons at different levels. So we have basic level, at grade, and then advanced. So this will also help offer the right content for each one of your students.
Okay, we have a question about probably somebody looking for an NGSS FlexBook of, we might have some Common Core math folks on the line as well. So do you just want to give them an update of where we are with our FlexBooks when it comes to some of these national standards?
Yeah, it's a very kind of important and topical question now. With Common Core, we have gone ahead and have rewritten the entire middle school and high school curriculum from the ground up. And we have brand new interactive FlexBooks available to be used. The ones for high school are ready right now, and by the end of August, the middle school ones will be published. With NGSS, it's not as far down the process as Common Core. So for NGSS now, there's a very few states that have actually specified a framework of how they're going to address NGSS. California and New York are the two biggest ones, but really no one said how they're going to do the assessment. So we're kind of in that middle zone right now, the gap zone of creating content that is aligned to NGSS, but we really don't know where anybody's going to end up with it yet until we start seeing more frameworks from the states. So what we've done is we've started working on phenomena, and we have all the foundational content to address these phenomena. And we actually have a Phenomena Day coming up in October that we're really excited about, that you'll learn about further in the program. So the thing, once again, Lindsay, is what I would say is Common Core, we have products ready to go today. And NGSS, like everyone, we are in the middle of building those once they're better specified by the states.
So what about our folks who are non-STEM? Do we offer FlexBooks for non-STEM curriculum?
Sure, we have a variety of content. If you search on our browse page, if you go to CK-12.org, you'll see a variety of topics listed there with some writing, some spelling, some health, history, and then a lot of our users have uploaded content, and we're going to show you how to find that too. So there's a wealth of information that is available if you're a non-STEM teacher. And I can see from when I was reading through the chat window where everyone's from, that we do have quite a few people that are non-STEM teachers.
Okay, so we took a few of those Q&A questions. Obviously, with hundreds of people on our webinar this morning, we get a lot of questions coming in, and I will assure you that your question will be answered, even if it's not by Carl live. We have the CK-12 team members, we have Star, we have Katie, we have Michaela here in the room, and we're all answering some questions for you guys. So we're gonna keep moving with the content for right now, but do keep populating that Q&A window, and you'll either get a text response or a live response from us. But before we start navigating the site and diving into all the ways you can customize a book, I wanna show you some of our most popular FlexBooks. Like Carl just said, we've got lots of content that we offer, but here's some of the more popular ones. And the simplest way to get started with CK-12 is often to grab just one of our existing books. You can click customize on it, rename it, and share a URL. It can be a very quick process if you would like it to be. So some of our most used FlexBooks on CK-12 focus on middle school and high school. As you can see here on this screen, for middle school, we offer earth science, life science, physical science, and biology. We also have FlexBooks for grades 6, 7, and 8 math. Here are some of our high school FlexBooks. Science topics include biology, chemistry, physics, and earth science for high school. We have comprehensive coverage for high school math as well, and we're very excited to share our brand new Common Core high school math books, which are now available on our website. These books have been totally written from the ground up and features lots of interactives in each lesson. So take a look at them and share these with your colleagues.
So now let's go live to the website and show you how easy it is to find the right FlexBook. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so you can see exactly what we're talking about. If you haven't done it already, navigate over to CK-12.org and you're going to see our beautiful homepage here. And on the homepage are all the subjects here, and I'm going to show them all. And you can see there's just many different branches that you can start exploring. So let's go take a look here at algebra. And the first thing you're going to do is I'm going to suggest this shows you all the concepts, and these are the units, and then you can break it down. But we're not going to go there because we actually want to find the FlexBooks. And you'll see that for any branch, there's a FlexBook Textbooks tab. Go ahead and click that. And then once inside of there, you'll find our books. And they're broken up into middle school and high school. So as you come here, you're going to be able to see a variety of textbooks that we have developed, we have written from the ground up in order to offer these quality products to you. And you'll notice there's even some in Spanish down at the bottom. So let's go ahead and take a look at what some of these are. So you can see we have our concept collections. So remember that we have a kind of two types of books here. We have our original books that are like textbook replacements, and then any that are, say, the word concepts are the ones that are broken down not by lessons, but by individual concepts. But most importantly here, you're going to see our Common Core book, and we're going to go click here, Interactive Algebra 1 for Common Core. And that will open up the book. And here we are at the table of contents. Okay, so this is one way to start using and finding CK-12 content. Another way to do it is that there is a schools page. So let's go back to the main page and let's click on the CK-12 icon, and that will always bring us back to the main page. And down here, if we keep scrolling, you're going to see our schools page here, and this allows you to see books that other schools have published in your state and any other state. So let's say I'm from the state of Texas. And in Texas, we follow the Texas TEKS. And so it shows me all the books that have been published and posted on schools pages. And I'd like to really point out our friends from El Paso, Texas, have quite a few books, and more than half of them are not in STEM areas. You'll see that we've got some world geography, macroeconomics, US government, AP US government, world history, etc. So these are great books that you can start looking at and start using today. We also, another way to find books on the CK-12 website is the search bar. So let's say I'm looking for biology, okay? So I type in biology, and what it's showing me is first CK-12 content here, and then if you clicked over here, you would find things contributed by our users. One of the things I like to show people is you can filter it, and let's say you only want to look at FlexBooks. So you click on the FlexBook, and then now you're only going to see FlexBooks that have biology in them. So this is our most popular book on CK-12, the CK-12 Biology Concepts. So using the search bar and then filtering by FlexBooks is a really good way to find the content you're looking for. Okay, and let's go back here. And I just want to show you again, on the left-hand side here is where we set the filter so that we're only seeing search results, which are FlexBook textbooks. All right, the next thing is we have some interactives pages that can help you find content. So we're going to go back to the home page by clicking the icon. And then once again, we're going to scroll down, and you can see here our interactives, the simulations and the Plix also have direct links. And you'll find beautiful browse pages there, which will help you find content here, okay? So next, we're going to go one different way to find content. And we're going to go back to the home page. And let's go, for example, to biology. If you're finding content for a unit, it's helpful to see the topics that relate to it. And then you can add a bunch in a row. So let's take, we're doing a genetics unit. And here's where you can see all the related concepts on CK-12. So if I happen to be doing something on DNA, I can go also look at related content from the same unit, like RNA, RNA structures, DNA structures, etc. So our concept list is a great way to find content. Finally, the last way that I'm going to show you is if you go down and if you're signed in as a teacher, you're going to find our browser for standards aligned FlexBook textbooks. Okay, so you choose your state, or you can do a national standard of, like, let's say Common Core, and let's do geometry, and we're going to be teaching that in 10th grade. So you can see here that we've got a variety of geometry books here that all show alignment to Common Core. So for those of you at this point who have a little information overload, go ahead and take a look at the session resource guide that we've put together. And we've put together a nice little review of exactly how to find a FlexBook by branch, search, schools page, and by standard, in case you aren't able to remember all of that a little bit later.
Okay, Carl, our Q&A window is exploding. I tried to pick some topics that I think are coming up repeatedly, and some of this you just mentioned, but let's review again. As people are looking at our FlexBook offerings, when would they choose a concept book versus the original FlexBook? Do you just want to explain the difference in those two again, please?
Sure. So here we are looking at the biology FlexBooks. So these are the ones that we originally wrote to replace the textbooks that you would get from a publisher. They're very similar. The layout, the scope and sequence, each is a full lesson that you would teach in 45 minutes to 60 minutes, okay? The concepts book is, instead of breaking it up by lessons, because these days people have double lessons, they have an hour and a half lessons, or they have a 2-hour lesson. So we're not sure exactly how much fits into your lesson. So instead, we broke things up by concepts. So if you take a look at, for example, the unit on genetics, you're going to see 15 different concepts covered here, but this doesn't mean 15 days. It means 15 concepts, and you might teach 1, 2, or even 3 concepts in the same day. And we found it's easier to break our books up this way so that it's easier for you to go in and edit them, arrange, add, and delete things to make things exactly the way you need it.
Okay. If you want to go back to the previous screen, another question that's come up several times is again about how we have divided some of our content into at-grade, advanced, and basic. What are some hints for the users trying to figure out what that means of at-grade and when they might use advanced and basic?
Sure. So, we do our best to go give content at varying levels because we've written books over the years at different levels. So if you come in here, for example, this is the concept page for DNA, and I just navigated here through the concept list from the genetics unit. If you look here, it says there's a read, and it says there are 2 more reads. So you can see I have a read at grade, I have a read advanced, and then I have another one advanced also. So you have a choice of 3 different reads for this concept. What we also like to remind you of is, with the ability to customize, you can create the level that you need for your students or a smaller group of students at any time by going in and quickly editing the content, pulling out what you need to so that the core content is still the same.
We have a few people who have asked about the process of, how does CK-12 make sure that the content is still updated and relevant? I think, again, back to that just kind of credibility. How do they know when they come to us that we have the most updated, reliable content?
This is a great question, and I think it's an area where CK-12 excels. One of the best things about CK-12 is it is digital, and therefore we aren't on a 7-year textbook adoption, that all the major publishers use. So if, for example, last year we got the names of the 4 new elements in the periodic table, that week our content reflected that we have included that. And we didn't have to wait until our textbooks were reprinted or that we went back and revisited them. We make these changes all the time, and we've got people that help us keep our content and subject matter experts that are constantly updating our content in a way that the publishers just can't do. So this is an area that we do really well in, and I think what makes using our content the best content that you can offer your students.
We have several questions related to copyright. So actually, I'm going to share my screen again and go back to our keynote presentation that is going to take us to a screen that talks about copyright here. I also wanted to say that there were several people in the Q&A and the chat window who are looking for the resource guide, and our team did chat out the link to that in the chat window. So you can click on that to see the resource guide that Carl was referencing, or again, it's going to be available in our Google Classroom as well. But for those of you who are asking about the license, we use the CC by NC Creative Commons license. So people often ask if our content is protected by any copyright law. And the answer is yes. That requires that you say the content came from us and that it is for non-commercial purposes. Other than that, yeah, our content is free for you to use, but we do require attribution, and you don't want to be uploading, you don't want to be making photocopies of any worksheets and uploading them to our site. This should all be things that do not violate any copy laws. Carl, you add to that, and then I think we're going to continue. Some of the other questions are about how to start making changes to books and editing, and I believe that's what you're going to cover here in the next section.
Yeah, I at this point, I want to share that as a classroom teacher of 17 years, I'm not a lawyer, okay? And this copyright stuff is a little confusing to me, but the bottom line is we want the content that we serve up at CK-12 to be legal, okay? And understand that if it comes from a publisher, they need to make money, therefore they need to charge you. So probably this great activity that you've used from McGraw-Hill for many years, you probably can't include the content of that activity in stuff that you create on CK-12. And we, have to be fair to them on that. But there is a lot of great content that is created by open sources that you can put into here, but also all the great content of activities that you've made yourself or lessons that anybody's made. As long as you give them attribution and you don't sell it, it's covered by our Creative Commons license. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to do a beautiful demonstration of how easy it is to customize. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen again because Lindsay stole it from me. Okay. And here we are back here. And I'm going to go to the home page here. And for me, this is the most exciting part of today's seminar because you're going to see exactly how easy it is to find the book that you need and begin customizing it. Okay, so let's do that right now. So let's say that I'm going to be doing a new Algebra 1 Interactive Common Core book. And remember, I showed you a way to go through the branch here, but I'm going to do an easier way. If you scroll all the way down the page, there's down here in the links area, you're going to see there's a Common Core math link, and you're going to have direct access to our Common Core books here. And the one that I wanted was the Interactive Algebra 1 book. And here you can see the table of contents. And this is a book that was written from the ground up when Common Core was introduced. It is not a book where we simply just put a new color lipstick on the old book, okay? We really took the time to figure out what are the learning progressions of Common Core and incorporate those into the way we learn and teach our students. So here we go. We're ready to start customizing. The magic button is right here, Customize. And the first thing it's going to want me to do is let's go give it a new title. Let's do Carl's CK-12 Interactive. There you go. Maybe I would put my high school there, Washington High School, or I could put my district name, Pleasanton Unified School District, whatever I need to put here. And then I'm going to click Save right away. I always save it first once I give it a name. And the really cool thing is, this is my book now. And this is my URL that I can put on an LMS. I could put it in Google Classroom. I could send it out to my parents and they could see the book. They don't have to log in. And it is a great way. There's a unique URL that we can share with the world here. Now, at that point, you could stop. You have made your book. The other next step is you could begin to do some basic customizing. So to go back in, I'm going to click Edit here. And then I want to show you how easy it is. These are my units, and if I expand that, pressing that button, you're going to see all the different lessons in that unit. And let's say I'm not teaching this first thing here. I looked at the lesson and say, oh, my kids all know that. All I have to do is simply come over here and click the Remove button, and it removes it and reorders the chapter. The other thing I'm doing is maybe I have this great lesson on finding functions, and I want to do that first with my students. So I'm going to reorder that so finding functions comes first. Okay. The other thing we can do is we can edit specific lessons. So let's go in and click the edit symbol. And this is where CK-12 just comes to life. This is where true customization is really a great thing, and it matches exactly what you're doing. So I need to go ahead and save that title. And then here's the lesson here, and they've put this picture in and finding. So almost at the top here, after I talk about the purpose of the lesson, I'm going to say, here's a guiding question. What makes a function? Okay. So I can begin customizing here, and you'll notice in the advanced editing, they're going to give you a lot of instructions on how this works here, including how to insert an image, how to insert a video, all these things, do some math type. The LaTeX math editor is right here. And so you're going to get a lot of information in the next FlexBook, advanced FlexBook editing session. But for right now, we're going to keep it simple. And maybe I'm going to bold this word right here, and that's going to be the extent of what I'm doing here. So, and then I say, in Carl's class, you have 34 students. And I could just continue typing as much as I needed to here as part of my guiding question. And then when I'm done, I can keep as a draft if I'm still working on it, or I can say I'm done and I can finalize a draft. And so I'm going to go ahead and click finalize now. And now it's going to show me exactly what that lesson looks like. And you can see it's all set up. And anybody who had the URL to my book now would have access to this lesson. So this is really exciting. Customization doesn't need to be this long process. You can do it as you go because your students will always have access to the most up-to-date version of your book. I want to go back to the table of contents and show you a couple other things while we're here. Let's see here. Table right here. All right, here's my table of contents. I want to point out here, here's our offline reader. I'm currently in Chrome, and we've developed this plugin for the Chrome browser, which allows your students and you to access this book offline, okay? And you can also download a PDF of it right here, okay? So any books that you customize, there will be a link there to download a PDF and print them out. We know that some students still need a printout, so that is available. But we think our offline reader presents the same content that is available in the printout, but in a richer fashion. Because, for example, on a PDF, you can't watch a video and you can't do an interactive. So the offline reader is a much richer environment to offer your students when they don't have access. I think we're going to pause there and talk about then how to publish and share your book. So this is the magical button over here. Without pushing publish, you can still share your URL here and send it to anybody, but it's not searchable here. So you couldn't go up here and type in, you know, Carl's Interactive Algebra FlexBook, okay? So the benefit of publishing is it kind of helps us with the mission of CK-12. It allows other people to find your work. It allows me to share it on my school's page. It really helps us get more people to your content that you've worked on so hard. And remember, you're going to benefit by other content that people have published. So it's good that you publish here. So we're going to go ahead and publish this book, and its contribution type, it's from CK-12 content. It's not from other content or original content. And let's go ahead and publish it. And this is, I wish we could have fireworks that went off at this point, because this is the true magic of the mission of CK-12, that now you have a book that is shared with everybody and is searchable. You can also use this beautiful this button over here called the Shareoplane. And you click it here, and it gives you a lot of options to email it. You can share it on Google Classroom, through Facebook, Twitter, and even Pinterest, okay? So I'm going to close that for right now, but it is a great way. But remember, the key one that I suggest is there's the unique URL. And you can also go do a shorter version of this by doing a tiny URL or bit.ly or something. So lots of different ways to share your content. So just remember here, we took a book, the Algebra 1 Common Core book, and we quickly edited it, changed the name, and then reordered it to match our scope and sequence. We did a few minor changes to the first lesson, and now we've saved it and published it to share in a matter of minutes.
One concern that's come up a couple of times is once they finalize a draft or even publish, can the content continue to be edited?
Absolutely, Lindsay. That's the benefit of a digital resource like CK-12's books, is that they can constantly be edited. So you can edit day by day if you want. You can have a team that works on it unit by unit, or in fact, maybe even a whole semester at a time. You're in control of the version that they see, but yes, it can be updated constantly. And we love that. You know, it's kind of the way the world works now, is we want the ability to update.
We have several users who are asking about how much they can collaborate on working in a book. And actually, I've got some slides on this, Carl. So why don't I go back to sharing my screen, and then I'll have you talk people through what they should do if they're looking to collaborate.
Sure. Lindsay's going to pull that up. So the first thing you need to do is really form your curriculum teams, because this is going to be the group of people that are going to be the ones in charge of that. Because remember, in order to get the best content, you need to take the CK-12 content, and then you need to do a level of customization, whether that's at the district level, the school level, or the teacher level. And that's what helps make the highest quality content that will improve your student learning. And I often like to point out here, we have a lot of private schools that use us simply because CK-12 is the best way to get the highest quality content. And we know that's the goal of all schools and teachers, whether it's private or public. But I think it's good to know that it's a very useful end product, is that it's all about the quality. Okay. All right, and then when you're forming your curriculum teams, make sure you put people that are good curriculum developers. Not every teacher is a good curriculum developer. Often these teams include your pioneer teachers, or your teachers that are veterans and that really they know how to create deep and meaningful curriculum. Then you might also include curriculum people from the district level, and even some technology integration people, where it's the coming together of this really good team to help make this happen. Next, you'll assign one person to head the customization. And I really suggest this isn't just a teacher on their prep period. It'd be great if there's some district support, but it can be done by a teacher too. Then you're going to break up the work by chapter, and you can have a special account that this book is attached to. It's my suggestion you don't create books for a school or a district that are on an individual's account. Instead, make some new credentials up on CK-12 and attach it. So for example, the math department at Washington High School would be maybe the one to own all the new Common Core math books that we're developing. So that way, if I leave or any other teacher leaves, we have full access to them. And then you share the credentials with the people that are working on that FlexBook. Next, you're going to pick modalities from CK-12 that are really going to help your students learn. You're going to be able to embed interactives, videos, real-world applications, and what you'll see is the adaptive practice on CK-12 is one of the most powerful learning tools for your students. Once this has happened, get feedback from the teachers that are piloting this book and start making the changes. We talked about you can continually make changes. Keep tinkering with it. Keep making it the best quality content that your students can get.
That's great. And there may be some more questions coming in about that editing process. You're welcome to put them in the Q&A window. Something that you mentioned briefly, Carl, but I think there are still some pending questions about what CK-12 offers with the FlexBooks in the way of being able to print any materials. Can they do that at the book level, the lesson level? Talk about PDFs. And then also, there's a lot of conversations surrounding teacher edition and workbooks. Where are these available?
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And I need to unmute. Thank you. Sorry. I have to share again. Okay, share again. Thank you. Sorry, we're having a little problem here. I'm trying to share my Chrome browser, and it's not picking it up. I think so.
Are you?
All right, folks, we're just figuring this out here.
Okay, I think we're good. I think everybody's seeing your window now, right?
Okay, there you go. So we'll move forward. And once again, the question was about PDF. So when you're on this screen here, which is your table of contents, you have a couple options. And one of them is to download a PDF. And you'll click on this, and then it'll tell you, we'll send you the PDF in your email in a few minutes. Once again, the better solution, though, is the offline reader, because the offline reader offers a richer environment that you can interact with your book. So, you know, as much as we might think we need PDFs, the reality is even to have the students on their own phones look at your book is still a more up-to-date, richer experience than offering them a printed PDF, because the problem is once you print it, it's out of date. All right, I think we got all those technical issues dealt with there. Lindsay, are we going to jump to some questions now? Or?
Yeah, sorry, totally my fault on that. One question that's come up is about pulling content from multiple topics into one book. I don't know if we mentioned the ability to add to the FlexBook in that way.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so let's go back here, and let's say I'm back over in biology. I always love picking on biology. And let's say I'm doing this book maybe of science in general, and there's some great like pea plants lesson that I know exists here on CK-12, and the really exciting part of this is I don't know what this lesson's about, but there you go. Let's go into it. So let's say, wow, this is exactly the kind of lesson I need in my new science book that I'm putting together. I might take out maybe some of this that's a little higher level than I need, but in general, it's talking about Mendel's ideas. So the really cool thing is on any piece of content on CK-12, I can assign it to my class. We'll learn about that all later, but key here is add it to a textbook. And you'll see here are all your FlexBooks that are available. And I'm going to add it to my interactive Algebra 1 book because I can. And it has just added it there. So now when I go back to that interactive algebra book, I'll see the pea plant lesson there, and I can go change exactly where I want it to appear.
Okay, as we're getting closer to that hour mark, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the keynote here, and I want to make sure that everybody's clear on a lot of programming information here, and then we still have a lot of questions in the Q&A. So how these webinars usually work is these core live webinars are scheduled to be an hour long, and we will always wrap up, and those of you who need to head off at the hour mark are welcome to do so. But then we stay on as long as you guys need us to continue to answer questions. And probably something we're going to stay on in a bit and talk about are any of you guys who are still having issues with Google Classroom. So we do want to make sure that you're able to join our Google class, because we think that's the easiest place for you to access all of this information in one spot. So we're going to give you a little bit of a tutorial, make sure you've got the join code and all that here in just a few minutes. We have already put the resource link into the chat window, but this is just a two-sided resource page that hopefully will help you remember what we went through today, because it's a lot of information. So this is a little bit of a cheat sheet for you that you can print or just download and save to your computer. That's accessible in Google Classroom, where we did have the link for you as well. And then every one of our sessions has an assignment, and we do match your attendance during the webinar. You don't need to do anything about that. We automatically can see attendance, your attendance record of how many minutes you were here with us this morning, and we'll match that with the assignment. The assignment is available in Google Classroom, and we've tried to make these assignments that you guys can achieve in 20 to 30 minutes. Hopefully they're relevant to what you're going to be doing next school year. We'd like for you to be exploring our site in a meaningful way. So do go to Google Classroom and access the assignments. We'd like for you to complete it within 1 week of attending your session. That's when it's going to be most relevant to you. But all assignments, everything for this program is going to be wrapped up by July 31st. Everything. All of your attendance, all of your assignments, it's all going to be wrapped up by the end of the month. And then we start issuing certificates in August. We have a feedback form. We'll mention this a couple times here these first few days, but we love to get feedback from you of what went well, what didn't go well, what could go better. This is not mandatory, but we do read all of the comments and look to receive your feedback. Some things that I think you want to know after attending this session is, now that you know the basics of FlexBooks, we want you to continue learning by joining some other FlexBook sessions. So our advanced FlexBook editing session, we're going to have a demonstration on embedding images in multimedia, tips for adding section headers and page breaks, and guidance for using the math editor. So you'll feel confident in your ability to navigate the advanced features of the CK-12 editor. Additionally, we'll give you ideas for going beyond basic edits to fully customizing a book to feel really tailor-made for your school or district. For any of you who teach math, you might be interested in our webinar showcasing our new Common Core math resources, including our interactive algebra and geometry Common Core books. Even if your state has its own standards, you might want to join us for this session to see our newest interactive content and then customize it to meet your state standards. And lastly, for those of you who are interested in what CK-12 can offer outside of math and science resources, the CK-12 platform for non-STEM users will show you how to customize FlexBooks that other schools and districts have created, as well as how to create your own book from scratch. Carl touched on this a little bit today, but we're going to go in depth for all of you who are interested in non-math and science type materials. We also had a question about FlexBooks 2.0. We have promoted a session with our Chief Technology Officer here at the CK-12 Foundation named Miral Shah, and our team has been working on FlexBooks 2.0. And so he is going to do a little demo and preview what this is going to look like. A question earlier was, is the work I'm doing this summer on a FlexBook still going to be relevant when you guys launch FlexBooks 2.0? And rest assured, yes. You guys start selecting your books, start customizing them and work on them, and then when CK-12 rolls out FlexBooks 2.0, you're going to be able to convert your existing book to be a FlexBook 2.0. But if you want to get a preview of this, a little taste of it, hopefully you can join us next Monday for the session. The registration is live in Google Classroom. You won't find this registration on the main page. It's just in the Google Classroom. CK-12 has a cafe, and if you have not joined it yet, we would love for you to join our Jumpstart for Educators Cafe. We also have some state-specific, or we have a homeschool cafe, and this is a place where we would like for you to network with your coworkers, network with people across the country, across the world, get some questions answered. So dive into the cafe. And then for you social media users, we do have a Facebook page. We would love for you to like us at the CK-12 Foundation on Facebook if you'd like to receive some stuff through your news feed. And then we are on Twitter as well. So you can follow us at CK-12 Foundation, or the hashtag that we're using to communicate this summer is hashtag CK-12 Certified. Our team's been reading it. We love seeing your comments. You're welcome to search CK-12 Certified and follow other educators who are working on this program this summer. We also hope that you'll continue to share this with your colleagues at your own school. It's not too late to join for anybody who's wanting to jump in. We run these sessions multiple times the next couple weeks. So if you have any colleagues who, hear that you're participating and are just now wanting to join, they can still get signed up and registered. So with that, I think we are about to the hour mark. Questions that you have that we can answer via email for you, jumpstart@ck12.org is the email address that you can send it to. You can imagine this is a busy season for us, so it might take a few hours, up to one business day for us to answer some of your questions, but we are trying to get everybody the help that they need. So let's look at the Q&A window again. Again, those of you who need to leave for time's sake, you're welcome to head off at this time. Do go into Google Classroom, grab your assignment and start working on that. For those of you who are interested in all the questions that we're going to answer here in the next little bit, please stay on. And I'm going to turn it back over to Carl here to tell us, what are you seeing in the Q&A? What do you think people could benefit from right now to have answered live?
Well, we're going to go here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and then we can go back. Yeah, so just as Lindsay said there, the key thing right now is, if you need to leave us, please do. You've gotten all the key content, and we're just going to be answering questions. So if it's 3 in the morning right now, please go to bed, and we'll see you again on another day here of the Certified Educator Program. But for the rest of you, with all these questions, here we go. I wanted to go back and go to my book that I was editing, and there was a question about the offline reader, and I think this is so important because it's one of the best new features available. So I need to go to that book, and that book is stored in my library. So I'm going to click up here on the menu, and hopefully it's going to be at the top because it's the newest thing. There it is. I could also sort by just the textbooks I have in my library, the FlexBooks. So I'm going to go ahead and open that. And I wanted to show you exactly what the offline reader does. So remember, in Chrome, you don't have to download anything. It'll put the plug in there and make it happen. But if you're looking at this on a tablet or a smartphone, you're going to want to download the app from the App Store or the Google Play Store. So let's click here, and we're going to open it in Reader. And it wants to store a file. And here it is. So the really nice thing here is you can download chapter by chapter if you don't have a lot of space on your device, or you can download the full book. But I want to show you here, let's go download that functions chapter, and it'll download it. And then once inside, we can go see exactly our lessons, and you can see here's that lesson that I edited, and here it is in the reader in a very simplified user interface. Okay. All right, Lindsay, another question.
Well, Carl, right now, a lot of the questions are related to the program in Google Classroom. So I'm going to actually let my colleague, Katie, a lot of you guys can hear from Katie, one of the program managers here. She's going to do a little walkthrough through Google Classroom and make sure everybody's able to join. So Katie, why don't you go ahead and share your screen, and let's get everybody situated in Google Classroom.
Thanks, Lindsay. So let me go here. So this is my Google Classroom environment. For those of you that are asking about which code, we had so many people join our summer program that we've actually created 2 instances of the CK-12 Certified Educator Google Classroom. So either code that you got is totally valid and fine to work with. Feel free to join them. That code, what you would want to do once you log into classroom.google is click this plus sign, click join class, and then put that code in there. Now, we do have some people that said they've gotten an invalid code message when they do this. That could be because you're using a school email address that has blocked external domains. So we've had some schools whitelist the ck12.org domain within Classroom, not just kind of generally across their site, but actually within the Classroom environment. And then they've been able to get in that way. If that is not working for you, please consider using a personal Gmail account or a different Gmail account. And you can log in that way. And then just shoot us an email at jumpstart@ck12.org, and we will mark that in our registration and cross-reference any work you do on your initial registration email and any email you use within Google Classroom. So once you're in Google Class, you can kind of open up the Classroom environment. And there's a couple things that we want to point out. We've actually tagged all of our resources based on these topics here on the left side. So the first one, for anyone looking for on-demand sessions, you're going to want to click on the Certified Educator Program link. And you can see here that we've posted the 5 videos that go with that, along with some useful links here, kind of the CK-12 flyer, general overview pieces, and the assignment that goes with that. So this particular assignment, if I click on this assignment here, it's just a form that I need to fill out. Once I fill out that form and get a confirmation screen, I can go back into my thing and I can, so let me open this up. I could type in my information. And then when I'm done, I'll actually get the option to click this as done. So if I kind of open this here, I can mark this as done as soon as I've gotten that confirmation screen. And that's just for my own record so I can remember which ones I've done. You should also receive an email confirmation from Google to whatever email address you use there that gives you the option to edit your response if you needed to update it for any reason, and your answers so that you have a record of those. So check your inbox for that. The other thing that you want to look for is kind of, let's say today's one, we are talking about getting started with FlexBooks. So I could click on that topic. You can see here our general resources we had posted already. Last night we posted the session resource. So these session resources are these great kind of 2-sided pages with all of the basic information. It's a really great kind of quick reference for you. So you can go from there and access that accordingly. And then below that, you'll see the assignment once again. And then finally, you'll see right now the direct link. So for anyone, you're all live on this particular session, so you're good. But if you miss a different session, then you can go from there and you can actually just click on one of these and join that session directly and kind of add an updated one for a later offering. And then about 24 hours after any session, we will post the recording of that. So we'll replace today's Monday, July 9th at 9 a.m. link with the recording of today's webinar. So you can see that there. We do have some questions about the class code. You should have received that in an email. I have sent a welcome email to everyone that registered before 9 a.m. Pacific time today when we started this webinar. If you did not do that, please double check your spam filter. We know some people have found them in there once they've done that. But I can also tell you the class code, so let me pull that up for 2 seconds. And I can put that directly within what we're looking for so you could actually see me try to join that. So right now we're going to use the newer updated code. So if I go back to Classroom for a second, I can click Join Class, and then I would paste in that code, which is VNH7F0. And if I click Join, it should pop up that class. If it's new, I would be joining it fresh. If I'm already in it and I paste in that code, it should actually open up that class that I'm already in for a second. So it's just taking a minute to log in that piece. But that's what you would want to do, and then it pops me into that class environment. So biggest things, classroom.google.com, click join that class. If you're getting an invalid code, please have your school whitelist the CK12.org option within Classroom, or use an alternate email and just let us know what that is for our records. And then once you're within Classroom, I would recommend navigating by the topic of the session you are looking for. Our feedback option, you can give us feedback by clicking on that and clicking on our feedback link. Information about live chats and the breakout sessions and all of the rest of those offerings are all within here. So definitely check out this environment and navigate based on topic. You can also click on View All right here, which is your upcoming and your assignments. So that might help you if you're just looking for the quick assignments, because that's your upcoming work that you're working off of. So hopefully that gives you kind of a quick review of Classroom and addresses some of the biggest questions that we have about Classroom. I'm going to pass this back off to my colleagues who are doing content, or maybe we'll try to kind of open up some of these Q&A and see what other pieces we can answer as we go from here.
Alrighty, there was a question about when are the Common Core books available, and I want to remind you that the high school Common Core books are available right now on our site. If you scroll down to the bottom of any page, you'll click on Common Core Math and you can see exactly what's there. We have the student editions and the teacher guides that go with them. The middle school books should be available in August, and we're very excited about those. These are books that not only are aligned to Common Core, but have embedded interactives to engage the students as they are working. All right, somebody asked a question about what if I miss 10 minutes of this presentation? Do I still get credit? And the answer is yes, you do. All you have to do is go watch that 10 minutes in the archive and then complete the assignment. So as this whole session today will be available to be watched offline at a later date, okay? It'll be probably tomorrow, is that right, Lindsay? Probably tomorrow. So check back on the page tomorrow and you'll see the archive of today's session. Go watch the part you missed here, and we know those kind of things happen. So some people have some spotty internet, so just make sure you watch the whole webinar. Try to see as much possible live so that we have you participating. Okay.
That's actually a question that just came in of if you miss a live webinar, can you watch it in Google Classroom and still receive credit? And unfortunately, no. We do have those 2 on-demand sessions that are the beginning and end of the program, but we require you to be in attendance live for 5 sessions. So if your internet cut out and you missed 10 minutes of a session or you missed 5 minutes of a session, we can work with that. But we will need to see in our records that you attended 5 live sessions. You're not able to swap out for watching it in Google Classroom right now.
The one thing I'll add to that is that each session is offered at multiple times. So just check the schedule and see if you didn't end up being able to catch it or catch most of it. Go ahead and go choose that session again so that you can get credit, because you need to be live for 5 of them. So the fact that we offer things multiple times should help you out. Okay, Lindsay, another question as we come here and wrap this up here.
Our team is troubleshooting a lot of Google Classroom questions for everybody. I'm trying to see which ones are you've.
Yeah, I found one. All right, so the question is, will the videos and interactives work in the offline reader version? Great question. So we don't host the content for the videos that's hosted on YouTube. So it's actually against the law for us to put that video on a device somewhere. It breaks the YouTube copyright laws. So when they are using the offline reader, they still have access to any of the kind of written content and the pictures, but they need to be connected somewhere to the internet in order to do any of the embedded content, I guess I call it. And that's not just as a limitation from us, it's a limitation from the copyright laws on YouTube and other kind of things we use to really enhance our lessons. But yes, we cannot include, for offline usage, anything that's copywritten. All right, a random question about Plix. How do you add them to your library? That's a really good question. And let me go ahead and share my screen now, because I think Katie still has it. So I'll steal it back, and then we'll go. I can't share. Okay. Oh, it's Plix. Oh, look, I'm being told we can't add those to your library. Yes, because it's a Plix. We at this point we don't have the ability to add them. What you will learn later in the program here is you can assign them to your class, and that's the way that you're going to do them. But currently, you can't add them directly to your library. All right, and we've got some other ones here. There's just a lot here. I think we've answered that. All right, I got the PDF doc. Shoot, it just went away. Sorry, there's a question about a PDF doc, but somebody added something in and it went away. All right. Lindsay, do you have a question ready to go?
Somebody's asking, I'm still confused about how to create a new section within a chapter.
I'll go ahead and do that with you. So let's go back here. And let's go to my book that I was editing by going to my library and click on my book. So this is my book that I've been editing for this seminar today. And let's click edit. So once again, the goal here is I want to add another unit or section, not just a lesson. So this is where we click on the add content thing. And it's going to be called a new chapter. So let's say this chapter is science in math. And I could actually write some things here about it and a summary, etc. But I'm going to keep it simple. So here's my science and math thing now. And you remember that beautiful pea plants thing that I did? I can go ahead and move that as part of this one here. So let's go and move that down here. And there it is in the science and math here. So we use the add content feature to add maybe a new lesson or even a new chapter. Okay, I think we addressed that. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Another question available?
I downloaded the app, but I cannot view my custom FlexBook. What do I need to do so that I can just share it in the Q&A. I think somebody's having trouble seeing their FlexBook in the offline reader.
And Kenny's going to go ahead and answer that.
If you're trying to access a customized FlexBook in your offline reader, what you actually want to do is go to that in a browser and then choose the like open an offline reader option. So what shows up in search within the app or the offline reader are the CK-12 books. But if you're in a browser, you can then open that customized book within the reader. So that would be the way to access that offline. While I'm on here, we have a bunch of people that have continued to comment on the invalid code option. Once again, if you get an invalid code message, it's because your school has blocked external CK-12, external domains from within Google Classroom. You can whitelist that or use an email address that's outside of your school to access that Google Class. I've had 1 or 2 tech people say that they whitelisted it and they still can't do it. Sometimes it takes a bit of time to kick in. But if you have any questions on that, please email jumpstart@ck12.org and we'll get you into that class, we promise you. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to them, or let me try to kind of continue to answer some of these questions. We have comments about, let's see, I'm trying to answer that one on customizing live. So we had questions about above the auto post showing when student gets online after they do work offline. If that's within the offline reader, if that's what you're asking about, I'm not sure what you would be kind of seeing. If they're posting something online, they would need to be online. Our practice app requires that you work offline, that you work online in order to be adaptive. But so just let us know, maybe if you could clarify that question a bit, we could answer it from there. And if for any reason we thought we answered your question throughout today's webinar, but it turns out that we didn't give you enough information, please feel free to email support with any technical questions or Jumpstart with any program questions. We can go through any of those answers for you offline as well. And there's a question about what's the assignment we should be working on after this session. So you can find that assignment within Google Class. Once you go within the class, just pick the topic on the left-hand side for today's session, and you'll see the assignment as one of the posts within there.
All right, so there's a question, if you watch offline one of the videos of the live session, does that count as one of your 5? It does not. So you must watch 5 line. Obviously, if you've had 10 minutes that you've missed out on, we can see that you were only present, let's say, for 50 minutes. And you know, we're willing to work with that. But we really want you here live for these 5 sessions. We had 7 was the requirement last summer, and we changed 2 of our sessions to be offline to really better fit what your needs were, but we do want to keep it where you are present for 5 of them. And so look in the schedule here, and if you need to kind of figure out a better times for you to be watching videos. We know that people do come in from around the world, as I mentioned, and it is the middle of the night for some of you. So we appreciate you working with us on this, but hopefully you're going to find a lot of rich content to learn here. So we hope to be able to make this work.
Real-world applications to a FlexBook.
Alrighty, so we have a question about real-world applications, and then the question is, can we add them to the FlexBook? And yeah, you're going to find this button here, Add to FlexBook, and on any of our real-world applications, and you can add them in as you would any lesson. Okay. All right, more questions here that are. We talked about that. That's good. Okay, I want to introduce CK-12 to teachers. How would you explain how it meets its A through G requirements? And this is a great question because for those of you, A through G requirements are the California kind of standards, not really standards, but it's the university admissions kind of requirements. And so courses need to be A through G requirements. And many schools are using CK-12 as part of the textbooks that are available to their courses. But the A through G requirements are more about the course than the textbook. Yes, you have to list the textbook, but many schools are using CK-12 and fulfilling the A through G requirements from the University of California and the California State Schools. So hopefully that answers your question.
So we have a question about assigning Plix to a Canvas course. Is there a URL to copy? Canvas and Schoology are learning management systems that access CK-12 content from within that system once you link it on the back end. So what you would do is you would fill out an LTI key. So I can actually share that in general, but let me share my screen for 2 seconds. If you go to CK12.org, so let me open up a window. CK-12.org, and then scroll to the bottom where it says Tools and Apps. Right here, you can find out more information about our 3 apps that we have available, as well as links to Google Classroom, Schoology Canvas. And if you just click on that, it will open up a request for a key. So if you're not already linked to CK-12 from within Schoology or Canvas, make sure you fill that out. Join us for our LMS breakout sessions. And then you would search for that content for our modality types within that particular learning management system, and that would allow you to access those resources within there.
All right, next, somebody asked a really good question is, do we provide AP course material? And CK-12 has not written an AP book themselves, but as I mentioned, there are a lot of our partner schools have. And so actually I want to go ahead and quickly share my screen. I think I need, I can steal it back from Katie. And I want to show you once again how to find those AP books. The other thing you can do, maybe here we'll just type in like AP and let's see, and we can try advanced placement. I'm going to use the search bar. Let me try here. Okay, let's try typing in AP, and let's only look at FlexBooks. Let's filter by FlexBooks. And remember, CK-12 has not created any, so you need to look under Community Contributed. So here you're going to find a lot of AP books: AP Biology, AP Calculus AB, AP Trig, AP BC, Calculus BC. Here's an AP Bio project, AP Chemistry. So these are all books that people have created, 61 pages of them that are AP books that they've used in their classroom. So, you know, the work that you do as a user and then share with others, once again, is super important to making the mission of CK-12 work. So lots of AP there. How do I create multiple books is a question that April asked. And the idea here is that you're going to simply go to your library and you can start with a CK-12 book, or you can create a new FlexBook. Okay, so you can create a brand new FlexBook, and it can be on any subject in the world, like Carl's underwater basket weaving. And there you go. And I'm creating a brand new FlexBook that way. I can have as many FlexBooks as I want in my library. Okay. Somebody else had to? Great.
Looks like the last question is about, can you show them the schools button again of where they can find books from other teachers in their state?
Sure. So the question is, where's the schools button? Well, the really easy way, if you can remember it, is CK12.org/schools is one way. And there you go. And that's one way to do it. But the easier way to remember is by going to the Browse page and scrolling down to these beautiful 4 circles. And if you're signed in as a teacher, you'll see schools. If you're signed in as a student, you might see study guides or other things there. And then you select your state. The one thing I will point out here is we don't really have an international listing here, so we've put international all under the international line here, and you can find there's some really great content here, including content for our International Baccalaureate middle years program. So some really great things here.
Okay, it looks like our Q&A is empty. If there were any questions that we did not get answered during this webinar, we would love for you to email jumpstart@ck12.org. If we missed responding to your question, if it's buried somewhere in the chat window. At this time, we're going to go ahead and end our session for today. We hope to see you guys this afternoon or later in the week. Thank you so much for joining us.